Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking everything movies, TV, comics, and entertainment. Join in the conversation on social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go. Welcome to an all-new edition of the ODPH podcast. What is happening, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us this week. My name is Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, you know him. He's the co-host, statistician to the stars, host with 1,004 aliases. His name is Padawan J.
Perhaps my complaining in the prior episode was heard because it's slightly warmer here in Binghamton. It's 41 degrees.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I won't complain.
It made some rounds, and things have improved, so you never know. Put it out in the world and see what happens.
Yeah.
That's what we do here each and every week on the parlay of topics that you know and love. And this week, we're talking movies, TV, comics, and more. You are tuned into the entertainment edition of the ODPH, and we'd like to keep those conversations rolling after the show. Pad, where does everybody go?
ODPHpodcast.com.
Blogs, classified section, which has friends of the show, such as 3FM Podcast, Dragon Master Games, Nerd Initiative, many more. A directory. Pad, how many providers are we on?
781,637.
And your source?
Trust me, bro.
So wherever you listen to the ODPH on, first and foremost, thank you for checking us out. It means the absolute world to us. Leave us a review on your favorite podcatcher. It definitely helps the algorithm of the show. Last but certainly not least, we have an amazing music section where you hear a lot of the bands on this show, such as Brian Wolf and the Howlers, Second Suitor, Tom Jolu, Floodlands, Shadow of the Robots. You can go download their music, support them because they're all amazing. And if it's anything else that is the ODPH, you can find it at odphpodcast.com. And if you're using social media hashtags, why not use the one that says ODPH Pod? Kicking off this edition of the show, we have to recap. It's weird to say, but we're at the penultimate episode of Season 1 of the most highly anticipated projects from Marvel Studios and Disney+. And, Pad, what are we talking?
Season 1 for Daredevil Born Again.
Yes, that is right. The Netflix adaptation to Disney Plus has been wowing fans left and right, with Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio reprising their roles as Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk, respectively. This series has really captured that Netflix vibe, but Disney-fied it, if I can use that word.
Sure.
And has not skipped a beat. It has social media talking, and especially after the events of last week's episode, we weren't sure what we're going to get going into the last two for this season.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a lot to discuss with this, so we're going to break it down like we always do on the ODPH. But if you're a new listener, what we like to do is give you a spoiler-free statement of what we're talking about. After said statement, we give you a countdown, and then you have to be like the Clash. Should you stay or should you go? You have to make that choice because we deep dive into spoilers. We give theories. We go really into comic talk with this. So if you're cool with that and you've seen the episode, stay along and chit-chat with us. If you haven't, you're like, oh, I'm going to get something ruined. I don't want to have this happen. It's very easy. Obviously, you've downloaded this episode. Pause at this point and jump back in when you're caught up. So that way we don't ruin anything for you. You have all that information ready to rock and roll. You hear our theories, hit us up on social media. Boom, boom, boom. That's how we do here at the Parlay of Topics. So that all said, Pad, we have to recap episode 8 entitled Isle of Joy from Daredevil Born Again Season 1. So give me your spoiler-free statement.
For me, this episode was near perfection. There was just kind of some stuff in the middle that was like, wasn't really doing it for me. But easily, for me, best episode of the season thus far, and sets up incredibly for the Season 1 finale and for whatever it is we're going to get for Season 2.
This was the strongest episode of the season. I do agree with you.
Uh-huh.
And that is saying a lot because episode 1 really set a high bar.
Yeah.
They haven't really had any episodes that faltered. You could make an argument for the with interest one.
Mm-hmm.
You could make an argument, but that's not even a bad episode.
No.
So that is how good the show has been, but this one definitely set a high bar. Albeit, though, it is due to the return of one character that has really stepped it up this season.
Mephisto.
Well,
sorry, knee-jerk reaction.
Maybe he's involved, but that is one Bullseye, played by Wilson Benthel.
Right.
So with his return in this episode, a lot of things happen.
Suffice it to say, they kicked it into overdrive.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy.
But this is what that point needed, and I think going into the finale, you needed a dynamic presence to jump in.
Mm-hmm.
He's perfect for it.
Uh-huh.
So along with the powder keg of emotions involving Fisk and Murdoch, respectively, everything was coming to a boil, and it really hit the explosion perfectly for this episode. So there's a lot to deep dive in, but like we said, this is the strongest one of the season thus far. So, Pat, it is time to talk some spoilers. So, in 3, 2, 1, let's really break down Isle of Joy.
Like I said, this episode for me, near perfection. There was just some stuff in the middle that I'm like, it was kind of losing me a little bit. But once we started kicking things into high gear, the latter third, the second half, however you want to break down the fraction, was just absolute masterclass and had me on the edge of my seat that by the time we were hitting a certain point in kind of the apex of the story of this episode, I was sitting there and it kind of dawned on me and I looked at my watch. I'm like, oh no, we're coming to the end of the episode. Like, we're going to leave this unresolved in some capacity because it's the penultimate episode. Especially, this century, everything on television loves to leave us with a cliffhanger in the second to last episode. So I'm like, this is going to leave us on a cliffhanger in some way. And then we got to said cliffhanger and I went, oh shit. Like, I was a little pissed off. I got to wait a week to find out what happens, which hasn't happened for me in a while.
Yeah, they ramped up the drama with this.
Yeah.
But like I alluded to, when you have a character as dynamic and as unhinged as Bullseye, you don't know what you're going to get and how they're using him on this show. I thought this was a real cool dynamic to throw in the mix.
Absolutely.
Because obviously Wilson Fisk is mayor of New York at this stage. And he's imposing his power, corrupt as it is, over the city, especially with an anti-vigilante task force. So Daredevil, who went on retirement, quote unquote, because of the quote death, unquote, of Foggy Nelson, his longtime friend and business partner, when he has now come back into the fold because of the events of Muse and the death of the White Tiger, this has now caused Fisk to be challenged on a level he is very familiar with, but is trying to separate from his new public persona.
And as we see in this episode through a couple of different perspectives, his methods are getting mixed results in terms of public perception. There's some folks who are on board with it. There's also, I would say, probably an equal number, although if you want to break down the percentages, it's not quite equal. But there are some folks who aren't on board with it. But then you look at what they're presenting statistic-wise, and it's hard to argue with the results.
Well, that's the whole key point that really makes it compelling.
Yeah.
And it's a challenge that when you think about the heroes such as vigilantes like Daredevil and Spider-Man and certain aspects, like you can argue the degree of the term vigilante, but you get where I'm going with this. When you have these characters that are supposed to be fighting crime and they're supposed to be the catalyst for the change here, what Fisk is doing is working. And it's a weird thing to say because literally the most evil man is doing the most good. How messed up is that?
Yeah.
But that's what makes this story compelling. And especially this mirrors a lot of what happens in the comics because it's the bad guys are winning, but they're doing it with good intentions. Like, it's so messed up, but it's happening. Even though Fisk is not doing it with good intentions, he's doing it for his own power because it takes away his number one enemy.
Yeah.
However, though, Murdoch could not stay away from Daredevil. It's not like a weird Batman thing with Bruce Wayne and he needs it. But he just can't escape that life because that's such a release for him for all his internal demons he carries, his internal devils, if you will. So now where we go here, he's back in action. They've taken out Muse, even though if he still is dead and that's how we want to done him, failure of a character. And
I noticeably not really mentioned in this episode.
Yeah, which I understand.
Could be something, could be nothing.
I understand, but that's why I want to see if he comes back next season.
Sure.
Even in mention of like he escaped or something.
Sure.
Because I think they have to. But I'm glad they finally addressed Bullseye because we haven't seen him since episode 1.
No. There was the court. So there was like you said, episode 1. There was a whole incident with him shooting Foggy. There was the courtroom scene, however many months it was after Foggy died.
A year.
Yeah, that's what it was. A year after Foggy died, and then he got sentenced, and that's been the end of it. We neither mention nor whisper.
Yeah. So as this episode opens up, we see that Dex, and that's so weird for me to say with him.
I know.
But still, Dex is in jail, obviously serving multiple life sentences, and he has been moved from solitary confinement into Gen Pop.
Under the list of things that are very interesting, and I'm not using that phrase literally, I'm being sarcastic. And if you want to file that under things that are very interesting, yeah, that's in there.
Well, you knew somebody was pulling some strings to silence him because, let's face it, Bullseye is not exactly a well-liked character.
Yeah, he's not exactly on a lot of people's Christmas card lists.
No, by no means.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a literal psychopath.
Yeah.
So
Pissed off a few people.
Oh, I'm sure he's crossed some paths that we don't even know about yet in the MCU.
Stepped on some toes.
Comics universe, there's a laundry list.
Oh, boy. How much time have we got?
Exactly. So how they open up, too, and I love the camera angle they do of the wide shot of him in the cell and seeing it. And then when they do the parting shot where you see his back as the cage door shuts, and he's in there with all the inmates.
Whoever was the cinematographer in this episode deserves an award.
Brilliant.
Oy.
Absolutely brilliant
So many
setup.
amazing shots.
So once they go from here into Mayor Fisk's amendments, as we say, we do find out that he's promoted a young prodigy.
Yep. Wow.
And
well, I don't know if I'd go that far.
Well, there's a lot of speculation, and I want to dive into it because obviously we're in the spoiler-free section.
Prodigal kiss ass.
Kiss ass, if you will, but there is some online discussion.
Sure.
And like we say, we break down theories, rumors, and all this in spoiler talk time.
Sure.
Michael Gandolfini has been playing Daniel Blake, who has been a blindly devoted employee in the Fisk campaign. Now, Pad, there is a rumor online and it's circulating around, and I want your opinion, is Daniel Blake really Wilson Fisk's son?
Oh, shit. I don't know, but that'd be a hell of a twist.
That is the rumor that has been circulating on a few sites, so I can't exactly narrow down where I've heard it from.
All right.
But I will say this. If it turns out to be, that's a really cool twist.
It's a good twist.
I mean, obviously, I don't know if we go into like the Rose territory with him, but there's possibilities.
It's got to be. It'd have to be something wild, just because throughout what was there 3 seasons of Daredevil on Netflix, plus this, plus you got to figure everything else with Defenders and whatever else he might have shown up in. Never been any mention of this,
right?
So it woo.
So that is something that has been gaining some steam, I should say.
Somebody call Maury Povich.
Well, like I say, that is something that would really play into another area that we're going to go into. But where we see Fisk is obviously trying to get his doc situation taken care of.
Oh, yeah. It's his shining crown jewel of his young mayoral candidacy, I guess.
And he's celebrating that by planning a black and white ball, a fundraiser, which the shall we say the rich and famous of New York,
the socialites,
come to and obviously raise funds for some cause that he's
and bend
doing.
the knee and kiss the ring.
Yeah. So obviously Fisk wants to take his victory lap about this. Before he can do this, though, he ties up a loose end.
Yep.
That. I will admit, I thought this was so one and done.
Yeah.
It kind of took some wind out of the sails.
This was one of the parts I had issues with.
Okay, same here.
Yeah.
Because Fisk takes Vanessa, his wife, who they've been having a lot of struggles this season.
Tenuous to say the least.
But Zerl has been playing a fantastic performance with Vanessa, too. They go into the underground...
His bunker.
Lair, however you want to define it, where the other vested interest party of the suitor of
her
Vanessa,
lover.
However you want to break it down at this stage, because I don't even know if we have like full clarification other than
they were together.
Yeah,
Fisk knew. As for the finer details, they've been kind of neglectfully skimmed over.
Right, but Fisk has had Adam in prison.
Oh yeah,
for quite some time
but we're in the new year.
Yeah.
He's had him since before he technically or right after he was elected mayor.
Yeah.
So this is at least, so if we're ballparking and we're just kind of keeping things like it's airing in the same the month in the show is the same month it's airing, you got to figure it's been at least 5 months.
Well, there's
give or take.
Well, considering how he's grown his beard and the long hair,
he's been there a while.
Yeah, I mean, Lou Taylor Pucci, who's been playing him, has done a great job in the role. Albeit, you've seen the mental breakdown of what he's been involved with.
Dude is ready to sing like a canary.
Oh, yeah. Because he sees Vanessa and he's now pleading for his life. And Vanessa kind of has a weird reaction.
Yeah, she almost plays it off like she's shocked. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, like, really, you're here. Like, it was like she knew what happened but didn't.
Well, and then Fisk starts playing like, oh, I told you I wouldn't kill him. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, I'm holding up my end of the deal. I'm keeping my promise.
Yeah, like he's trying to win back his wife, which...
And that was the weird thing with this was just his tone of voice with her. It was almost pleading in a way.
Well,
at least to me.
The one aspect of Fisk that he's always had a weakness with...
His wife.
Is Vanessa.
Right.
No matter what.
No matter what the iteration is.
Yeah, I mean... Except, like, I think right now in the comics,
right?
Well, that's a whole different ball of wax. We don't have time for. Just read Amazing Spider-Man, you'll understand. That said, that's always been the one he's been trying to impress. He's literally based every action he's done around Vanessa's approval. So now that he's lived up to the bargain, she sees, at least the way I took it, a moment of weakness in him.
Yeah,
because she knows that she's been handling the crime side of things, and she can't have him looking like that in front of the other crime bosses of New York.
Right.
So she winds up, even though Adam is saying, like, I'll take off, you let me go, I'll disappear.
Whatever you want me to do, I'll do it.
Yeah, I'll do it. Vanessa grabs the gun that's there and unloads the entire clip.
Yeah.
Like, this
left no chance for any doubts.
Brutal. Absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking 3 to the chest and 1 to the head. Like, she was not playing around. So that immediately wipes away this whole story that they've been building about this Adam character. So, okay, I get it.
I would have understood if they put this point in the next episode.
Yeah.
You know, just to kind of tie it up off the season. It feels so oddly played. Like, I understand it, and I get it. And it's been a whole little plot point from this season. So obviously it's not continuing into next season. They're going to kind of, or at least this portion of it isn't going to continue into next season. So they're going to kind of leave it where it is and move on. I would have been fine if it would have been the first 10 minutes of the next episode, but just where it was at this point, and especially with what happens after this, it just felt so oddly timed and just kind of brought the pace back when it didn't need to.
Yeah, I agree. Like I say, it was just kind of a weird.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I like that they tied up the loose ends.
I did too.
But the timing and placement of it was off, I will say.
Yeah.
But it didn't take it out of the episode because everything shifted gears towards the black and white ball. Even though at this point, Matt Murdock is putting together his next move, I guess I should say, what he wants to do against Fisk, and he has to deal with his girlfriend, Heather Glenn, who's played by Margarita Lavia.
Who's having some interesting views and takes on both Muse and Daredevil.
Yeah, because now she's unfortunately been caught up firsthand in the vigilante lifestyle.
How's that one Billie Eilish song go? Birds of a Feather?
Yeah.
Something like that. She's kind of stringing those together.
Yeah, so as this is coming together, and they're really, arguing about what is going on with the anti-vigilante task force and everything. Well, we see that she gets an invitation delivered to her personally from Cashman, who is Fisk's right-hand man. So Artie Froschauer, who plays him, obviously has been getting some more screen time here and coming into the limelight. Daredevil can pick up his heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
So he knows exactly who it is, and he immediately goes into, you need to separate from this. How do you know him? And that is now causing a problem with Glenn because she is like, you don't need to know this.
Yeah, that's client-patient confidentiality.
Yeah.
Which is a thing.
So when that is going down, it is starting to plant some seeds in about why they're going to see her.
Yeah.
And now he thinks it's a premeditated attack. So you start seeing a lot of paranoia come out.
Right. Like he knew before now that she was seeing a high-value client, like a VIP, like somebody very important. But at the time, he just didn't care who it was. Like, oh, yeah, part of the job. Like, we're in New York City. There's a lot of big, important people here. Like, it could be anybody, actor, CEO, business person, whatever. But then once he starts putting 2 and 2 together, especially given what Fisk knows, what Fisk is aware of, he starts jumping to some conclusions. I won't say they're bad conclusions, but he starts jumping to conclusions going, uh-oh.
Yeah, so he's getting ready to make his move here because that's what he does.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say,
or if that's what he thinks he does in his head.
well,
we'll see.
It's always his overthinking is one of his biggest flaws.
Yeah,
because he jumps to conclusions, which I mean I like because
sure, I get.
You don't need to be Batman.
No,
Batman overthinks everything, but he has prep time, so he can do this. Daredevil flies by the seat of his emotions.
Yeah.
And this is what leads to great wins and great losses. But that's what makes him very captivating as a character.
Wrong.
So he starts piecing together after he hears the little tidbit that Bullseye is now in Gen Pop.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows he can go get him.
Yep.
So he does wind up going to visit him in the jail because he is now basing a theory of some information he's come across.
Yeah, he went back to the bar where he, Karen, and Foggy were celebrating in the first episode. And they have this whole conversation because falling on hard times, getting ready to close the bar. And Josie, the bartender there, is like, "Oh, hey, this is the bottle we were having with you guys, that one night, and why don't we finish this off? It'll be the last bottle." Because it sounds like the bar's closing that day.
Yeah.
So they're like, "Oh, why don't we finish this bottle off? Oh, this was Foggy's favorite. Like Foggy was having it this night." And then it's kind of like triggering a repressed memory in Matt's head of like, wait a minute, that's not what he was drinking. And Josie basically says, "What? You don't think I know what every Irishman coming into this bar doesn't want to drink?"
Mm-hmm. It's an amazing line.
Oh, yeah.
But this is when they start piecing together that he was celebrating.
He was celebrating early.
Celebrating a big court win.
Yeah.
That we don't know about, but he's now piecing together that, well, the Kingpin wanted him dead.
We knew, we the viewer knew,
Yeah.
that he was winning something. We didn't know the specific details of what it was.
Right. So we're starting to get that big reveal.
Yep.
But now he's believing Matt is that Wilson Fisk hired Bullseye to kill Foggy.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes to the jail.
Yep.
And they start having some great interaction. I'm sorry, like their dynamic.
This is awesome.
Yeah, their dynamic is amazing because it's literally right out of the comics.
Yeah.
If you've ever read a great Bullseye story with Daredevil, this is on par with anyone. Mm-hmm. And you start seeing them just going at each other.
Reminded me a little bit of Batman and Joker from Dark Knight.
Well,
a little bit.
Well, that is him. Well, that is his character, and to a degree. I'm not obviously. Bullseye is more obsessed with killing.
Sure.
And he just does it because,
because he can.
Well, he can, but there's a weird breakdown of it in a Dark Avengers comic.
Oh, okay.
And like I say, it's creepy as all blazes. So if you want to go do the deep dive of that, you can find out about that. But it kind of mirrors the sense like he does it because he feels he's above people when he does this, to put it more or less. So this is also setting Matt off, and Matt basically gets fed up. And we have to remember, Bullseye's hands are concealed at this time.
Yeah, what did they say? They said to keep him under the table?
Yep.
I think was what they said.
Yeah.
Which seemed weird to me, but
Well, because his powers, if you can call it a power, he can turn any object into a deadly weapon.
Right.
So if he has any chance to grab anything, he can do this.
Right.
So while his hands are there, Matt starts smashing his head into the table.
Was that deliberate, or was that just him losing all sense of reason?
Both.
Okay.
I
thought it was more Matt just snapped in the moment and was like he was at the another stage of rage in the grieving process, given what was going on. But I wasn't sure if it was like he's deliberately doing this or it was just like a snap moment.
You have to think about it like this.
Okay.
He has been waiting how long to get his hands on him, that the fact that he survived falling off the roof.
Give or take year and a half.
Okay.
Give or take.
So the initial reaction is, you keep pushing my buttons, I'm going to snap.
No, I mean, to be fair, if that happened to my wife or you or any of my close friends,
sure,
I'd probably do the same thing.
Yeah, like, listen, I understood everything about it. I was like, my shoes, yep.
Didn't fault him.
Oh, I didn't fault him at all. I'm like, oh, he's going to get something in.
Yeah.
Like, there was no chance.
He's been dreaming of that moment.
Yeah, there was no chance he was walking in there and walking out peacefully.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
And he played it off that, Bullseye did it to himself.
He just started, he smashes his head into the table, knocks some teeth loose, bloodies his nose up, and then he just knocks on the door. He goes, "Oh, officer!" He started smashing his head into the table, and the officer just buys it.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, Bullseye's killed so many people that they're going to turn a blind eye.
Oh sure.
No pun intended with Daredevil, but they're going to turn a blind eye to what he's doing, and it makes sense. Albeit though, this is the flaw that happens, because as he goes to get treated,
yep,
Well, they have to remove the guards over his hands.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing is, and I love this moment, even though I know some people online were a little freaked out.
Sure.
You have to remember something with Bullseye.
Yeah.
Anything he can get in his possession,
Literally anything.
literally he can turn into a weapon.
Yep.
So Matt knocked out one of his teeth.
Uh-huh.
And the entire time
He's holding on to it in his mouth.
He's holding on to his mouth. So when the guard who is checking on him to make sure he's secure, Bullseye shoots it out like a dagger into his throat.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some people are like, "Oh my God, I can't believe he did this." Listen,
I can.
Oh, I can. He's done this. They've even parodied this a little bit in the well, I shouldn't say parody, but mimicked this in the comics.
Sure.
Even in the Ultimates, I believe at one point where they had Hawkeye, who was the Wolverine or the Bullseye of that team.
Right.
I forget exactly, but he did it with his fingernails
Oh.
and did the same thing. So, like I say, there's some precedence to it. I got to reread that. So I know, hit me up on the hashtag. We'll discuss it. But either way, so this is how he winds up getting free because now the doctor had to work on him and Bullseye killing everybody.
Yeah, the doctor, the guard that's in the room with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we now fast forward to the ball because everybody, all roads have now been leading to this.
Mm-hmm.
And at the ball, Matt is late.
Yep.
So Heather is there.
She's pissed.
She's pissed. They have the formal entrance of Mr. and Mrs. Fisk.
Mm-hmm.
And we also see that BB Urich is there, who is now having a bonding moment with one Daniel Blake. So Jania Walton, who plays BB, is there. And obviously she's been researching Wilson Fisk in the campaign. So she's walking a fine line here.
Yeah.
While this is going on. And you see Daniel Blake is like spilling his guts because he's trying to win her over.
Yeah.
And this also allows for the major players to start getting in position here. And we do see that Fisk is, relishing the role of what he's doing. His security team is the anti-vigilante task force.
Yep.
We do see that when there's a reporter undercover,
Yeah.
they find him in the kitchen area.
Crimenesis.
Yeah, and the commissioner of the police, who now, talk about a fall from grace.
Yeah.
He has no power over these.
Well, yeah, because they find the reporter is masquerading as a waiter.
Yeah.
And he's going around and he's going back to the kitchen to get some, presumably hors d'oeuvres or something. And he gets confronted by the task force, and they find out he's actually a reporter. And they find because I think he might have been like texting on his phone or something.
Yeah, they catch him doing something.
They catch him doing something with his phone. They're like, "Oh, hey, you're not supposed to have phones here. And what do you do with your phone?" And then they find out he's a reporter, and so they start beating the shit out of him. And that's when the chief of police or the police commissioner comes
Commissioner
in.
Gallo.
Commissioner Gallo comes in and goes, "Hey, quit doing that or I'm going to have you pressed for assault charges." And the guy goes, "You're not going to do shit to me anymore. I don't answer to you. I answer to Fisk." And just to prove he doesn't answer to the commissioner, he doesn't care what the commissioner thinks. He takes the reporter's hand and shoves it into a fryer.
Yeah.
That's full of oil and on.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they're making a point here.
Yeah.
So there
And
is...
at this point, the commissioner's shocked as all hell and leaves the room with them continuing to beat the shit out of the reporter.
Well, they're wanting to make a statement, and the thing is that they think that they're running the city.
Uh-huh.
And this is the problem that Fisk has created, but this is literally what he's wanted.
Yeah.
But it's like it's such a play off what they're doing here. So now they're intimidating reporters. They're doing everything that they can get away with and really abusing the logo of the Punisher because most of them have that tattooed on them.
Yep.
In some variation.
Yep.
And how that is ultimately going to explode, I'm all here for.
Not well. It's not going to go over well for them anyway.
Yeah, I'm very...
For us, the viewer, it's going to go over great.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. And I have a feeling we'll see that next episode.
God, I hope so. I don't want to wait for that.
If worse, it's going to be the bonus scene, and he's going to be absolutely wiping out everybody on that task force.
That'd be a good bonus scene.
Mm-hmm. But while this is going on, too, we do get a insight into one character that we've seen before because Fisk is winding up having a meeting with a certain swordsman.
Yeah.
Right, Pat?
Tony Dalton, a.k.a. Jack Ducant's swordsman.
Yep. Who we've seen in Hawkeye.
Yep.
So there is a little blackmail situation going on.
Yeah.
Because Fisk wants money. Ducanes is not exactly down with it.
He's like, I know what you're really doing. I'm not on board.
Yeah. And Fisk is like, well, I know about your nightlife being the swordsman.
Let me call your bet.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you're going to have to support this project that I'm doing in the port.
And he threatens him with the task force coming to investigate his place of business. And he goes, it's not a threat. It's a promise.
Yeah. So this is going down. Matt is hearing this because he's there now.
All the meanwhile, he's getting read the riot act from his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And she's yelling at him because he's ignoring her. Mm-hmm. While he's doing what? Ignoring her.
Exactly. Like I say, he's so focused on his business. Yeah, it's to the point, like, either one or two things is going to happen. She's going to get killed off next episode, or they're breaking up. Like, it's done.
Probably the latter.
Yeah, probably the latter, but you never know. Like how with Bullseye around, it's going to happen. Because at this point, he has escaped, and he's now dressed up as one of the security involved in the team. And he's now in the building of the ball with sniper rifle in hand. Mm-hmm. So he is waiting patiently for his option.
Yep.
So while this is going on, is the big dance is happening, and you can see that Fisk, who is seeing Matt Murdock there, is mouthing off because he knows he can hear him.
He's whispering under his breath.
Yeah, to his wife, and Murdock is getting so mad he winds up cutting in.
Yep.
And winds up talking finally to Vanessa.
Yeah.
And all the while this is happening, too, we have to wrap up BB's story because she winds up talking to Commissioner Gallo.
Who at this point is fed up with everything.
Yeah, he's ready to leave. And she's like, help me take down Fisk. Mm-hmm. And he even says, you know that Fisk was the prime suspect in your uncle's death. Mm-hmm. And she's like, yup, and that's what I'm doing here.
Yep.
So all the while, this has been to bring down Wilson Fisk for Ben Urich's murder.
And at one point, he brings up with BB, like, why are you being his propagandist?
Yeah.
And she basically goes, listen, I'm lying with the snake so I can take down the head.
Yep. And it's amazing. Like I said, I love the setup for this.
Yeah, this whole sequence was amazing.
Yeah, we knew this was coming.
Yeah.
But damn, just to see this on screen and just really play out was great. So we go back to the dance, and Matt is sitting there going to Vanessa.
He's accusing Vanessa of everything.
Yep, and he goes,
I know what your husband did.
He is like, I know what Wilson did, but I know what you did too.
Mm-hmm. And she's like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, and she's being stone-faced, but he's like, nope, you hired Bullseye.
All the meanwhile, Fisk is talking to Heather, Matt's girlfriend, like, oh, your boyfriend seems a little uptight and anxious tonight. She goes, yeah, at first I thought it was this one thing, but now he has me scared.
Yeah. So right before Fisk is going to say, by the way, you know he's Daredevil. Mm-hmm. Well, this is when Matt catches wind of Bullseye with the sniper.
Yep.
And he hears the click. He knows who he's going for. He takes the bullet, literally, for Wilson Fisk. Mm-hmm. So now the task force is going after Bullseye.
Yep.
They're rushing Fisk out of the building, and Matt is literally dying on the floor.
Yep.
End episode.
Yep.
So a lot is moving here, and the build for the ball, I think, was just perfect.
Oh, absolutely.
I think they really nailed the tempo for that. Like, they tied up the loose ends, which, I mean, the Adam portion, yeah, they could have done without, I guess, but I'm also not mad about it. I just thought where they wedged it into the story, I thought it was, or the episode, I thought really took away from the beginning, but they really amped up on that second half. Mm-hmm. And now you put everybody in play for this explosive finale, because now with Matt Murdock taking the shot to the chest, which I'll admit, when he first got shot, I thought he got shot in the arm.
So did I.
Like, I thought that might have been the only
thing. I thought it was like the upper shoulder.
Yeah, I thought he got grazed, but no, that was like right near the heart.
Yeah.
So now he's on his way to the hospital, and what will that mean for the rest of New York? That's the question mark we now have, because especially with Fisk trying to be taken out by Bullseye, which you know Bullseye's going to escape somehow, some way.
Yep.
This proves for an ultimately explosive dynamic with now Bullseye hunting the Kingpin.
Yep.
And primarily Vanessa too, because if Vanessa's the one that paid for it, her skeletons are going to come out.
Oh, yeah.
And then what does that mean? And especially if Daredevil's off the scene, is this what draws Frank Castle back?
You would think.
Well, you have to think that some vigilante is going to step up, and no, it won't be Spider-Man.
No. They can't use him in the TV show.
Yeah, they can't use him in the show. It's a possibility we will get a Defenders cameo of somebody.
Be. I know Finn Jones has been a little more vocal lately about playing Iron Fist again.
Yeah, which, listen, I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I know some people are very anti it. No,
give him a shot.
Here's the thing. If you give him the shot, let's see what happens. But the one thing I will say is I don't think he should have a solo series again.
No.
I think you need to do Heroes for Hire.
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
Pair him and Luke Cage and let him go. I think you could have some really good crime episodes there.
Could call Jessica Jones.
Well, Jessica Jones, I think, is the lock. I think we're going to see Jessica Jones next episode.
Okay.
I don't know in what capacity.
Right.
But I do feel that we're going to see her, of all the Defenders, show up.
Mm-hmm.
And then we kind of see how this plays in, because with Matt surviving, I wonder how we're going to connect this with Foggy.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything about this case revolves around Foggy, and especially if he's still alive, which he is.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry you can't tell me otherwise. We talked about that issue many times.
If Foggy doesn't show up at the end of the next episode, which would be a hell of a cliffhanger if he does, it's going to happen at the end of the first episode next season. And then the entire second episode of next season is going to be like the backstory, like you said, the
Secret Life of Foggy Nelson.
It's going to be like a rendition of the Secret Life of Foggy Nelson.
Yeah, you're fully going to have that as an episode.
I think it's going to be he shows up at the end of the first episode next season.
Well, it would make sense. Like if they want to allude to it that Matt's dying and then he hears Foggy's alive or something like that.
Right.
I could see that being the cliffhanger for next season. But I also think there's a couple different ways they could go with the bonus scene, because I think you're going to have Frank Castle show up next episode.
Oh, more than likely.
I think that's probably a safe bet. Plus, it depends on how Matt survives this and how they want to treat this episode. I really hope they don't do this like a dream sequence and he's like reliving everything.
Please
and,
not.
No,
Please
like,
no.
yeah, I don't want that. I want something that like he survives and it has to go after him, and then we maybe have the story of Wilson Fisk's outs Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
That says Matt Murdock died, but he was really the vigilante Daredevil. Boom. And you do something like that.
Good, could be.
I mean, they have a lot of different storylines they can go with, but I think by far and away, this was the strongest episode they had.
Easily.
The performances they had from D'Onofrio and Cox and the rest, like everybody's really stepped their game up for this episode.
Yeah, the writing was immaculate.
The writing really put the pressure on everybody, and this is why it was so important to get this cast back together.
Yeah.
And let them go. And I think that now that we finally have that, I think the sky's the limit for the finale. The expectations are super high. That if they have a dud of a finale, I think that's going to be really, really a bad way to cap off a great season.
It's not going to be ideal, that's for sure.
No, it's definitely not. But final thoughts on this before we wrap up?
Like I said, easily the best episode of the series thus far. Near perfect. Just that whole bit in the middle with Vanessa Wilson and the lover was kind of took the, as you said, the wind out of the sails a little bit. But otherwise, love the episode, and man, I cannot wait to see the next episode.
This is why we all read Daredevil comics, because this is the pressure that he's always on. Stuff like this happens all the time. This is winning over pop culture, and I really hope that what fans do is after this season wraps up, they hit to the comic shops and go check out some of these fantastic stories. But they really played into the strengths and the weaknesses of Matt Murdock. This is why this is hitting so hard, because everything's about ready to hit the fan, and all it took is one match to spark everything. Now the explosion is happening, and who's going to be surviving at the end of the season? That's what we're going to be talking about next week. But in the meantime, hit us up on the hashtag ODPHpod. Isles of Joy, episode 8 of season 1 of Daredevil Born Again on Disney Plus and Marvel Television. Let's talk about it, shall we? But first, we're going to get a quick break. We'll be right back.
Do not adjust your dial. Or, well, your phone, your watch, or whatever the heck you're using to listen to the awesome podcast you're currently listening to. I am the Duke of Nerds, Tyler Mack, and I am here to tell you that being a nerd can be a bit overwhelming, especially after 30. Life moves pretty fast in our nerd culture, and if you don't take the time to notice things, you miss out. That's why I'm here. As your Duke of Nerds, I am charged with educating, enlightening, and entertaining you on all things nerdy. I do it by running the 30 to Nerdy podcast. 30 and Nerdy is a Bad Cast Company production and currently playing wherever you cast your pod. Follow along each episode using the hashtag 30andNerdyPod. And check out what all is going on at 30andNerdyPodcast.com. Whether it's DC, Marvel, comics, or video games, I have got you covered. So tune in now. Cheers to you, nerds.
The content you are listening to is part of the Nerd Initiative Podcast Network. For more info about the home of pop culture positivity, check out nerdinitiative.com.
Hey, this is Scott Snyder, and you better listen to the ODPH podcast, or I'm coming for you, and Batman is coming for you.
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast is extended one-shot. So, Pad, what you got?
Got to talk about a couple TV shows that are returning to our televisions this week.
Yes.
Over on Disney Plus or the BBC if you're over in the United Kingdom. It is the return of season 2 of Doctor Who.
Yes, Shudigawa is back. And this time, the 15th Doctor has got a little more going on. The trailer is out that we saw. Love the Phil Collins home.
Yeah.
Played in the background. Like, it just really hit the deal.
Yeah.
A new companion, though, in Belinda Chandra, who's played by Varda Sethu. And we'll kind of have to see what is going on here, because obviously with a new companion, anything is fair game.
Yep.
It definitely looked fun. It definitely had the same vibe that we know from this new era of the Doctor. And to see where this is going, because, I don't believe there's any speculation about, like, any kind of changing of Gawa leaving the role. But I know that there's been, like, last season I thought was a big hit.
Right.
For as far as I could tell with fans. But I don't know how long his tenure as the Doctor is going to be or what's going on with the future of that.
I mean, in the rebirth era, the reboot era, other than Eccleston, who only did the one season, it typically seems like it's the 4 seasons.
Yeah.
And then it's a bow out. That's been the formula David Tennant did, Matt Smith did, and then all the actors and actresses that followed since have followed. So, I mean, unless things are different, unless he's got, some big offer or something he doesn't want to pass on to come up, I would expect him to do at least 2 more seasons.
I would expect 2 more as well. I mean, Jodie Whittaker and Peter Capaldi both had runs too. But like I say, this one, I know I was hearing some like very faint rumors. So
sure.
We will definitely use the podcast word extraordinaire, allegedly. To say that something might be going on, that he might be bouncing. I have not really heard that, to be honest with you.
I haven't heard anything.
I've heard nothing but good things about the season thus far. And with the trailer, like I say, it looked like vintage Doctor Who. It's definitely exciting. It's fun.
Yeah.
They did not give away any super spoilery.
No, there's just a couple of hints of where they're going to go. I know they mentioned at one point they're going to go to the 1950s, 2007. I forget the year, but super far into the future.
Yeah.
So usual Doctor Who hijinks.
And some very cool animation. It looks like one episode they're going to be animated.
Well, the Disney budget or the Disney folks helping out with that sure does help.
Yeah, so that'll be taking place this weekend as we record, April 12th, I believe.
Yes.
So definitely make sure you're watching that on Disney Plus and
Disney
BBC.
Disney Plus for those of you in the rest of the world. BBC for those of you in the United Kingdom.
Yes, and like we said, it's a loaded weekend, so we didn't want to do full trailer breakdowns, but there is another show that is coming back that we have been waiting for. To be honest, it was one of those shows that I was sitting there going, are we ever going to see this again? And it's not to say it was ever a rumor about being canceled.
Right.
But it was one that we had been sitting there watching and going, okay, when is this coming back? And we knew it was going to be a year or so delay.
Right.
And lo and behold.
Because one of the actors is a busy dude.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
And this Sunday on HBO and streaming on Max, we finally get the long-awaited return of The Last of Us. So Bella Ramsey, Pedro Pascal are back as Ellie and Joel, surviving in a very different type of zombie apocalypse, if you will.
Yeah.
To put it mildly, I mean, this one is dealing with the viruses breaking out. Ellie is the only one that is immune to it thus far that we've seen. So to see her possibly be the key to humanity's survival has been a very, very fun ride to go along with. And it's one that, I mean, to take it from the video game of Naughty Dog, I'm sorry.
Yep.
To really take it into this level and really translate onto the small screen. It doesn't feel like a video game.
No, it doesn't. And the video game is immensely popular. The first one came out, if I'm not mistaken, on the PlayStation 3. It got re-released on the PS4, where the sequel came out, if I'm not mistaken. and then both of them got remastered and put together on the in a bundle on the PS4, and then they're both going to get re-released again on the PS5. So you don't get a game released and re-released that many times if it's not a smash hit.
Yeah. So they have really made sure to take their time with this. It's been very fun thus far.
Yeah.
To watch it. I mean, it's been one of the strongest episodes, to deliver.
Yeah.
There's never a shortage of drama. There's never a way out, so to speak.
Yeah.
That you really feel like they're telegraphing anything.
Yeah, and it's one of the, I would say, best video game adaptations to, television or movies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, easily. There's no question about it. And like I say, for the amount of acting that they've done with this,
yeah,
they've really, had some of the biggest breakout episodes with this. And just the performances by Ramsey and Pascal, let alone the cast too. Like I say, they have really taken the time to show this and really give readers something to get into.
Yeah.
I should say readers, but I'm so used to saying with comics, but it does really like a comic to me. But for viewers to jump in on this and go, and especially, like I say, the side characters that we've seen come through.
Yeah.
And I know, like I say, the episodes that we have seen with Nick Offerman and, and like just I could just rave about Gabriel Luna as Tommy too. It's
yeah.
Like, there's so much that you can just dive into with this series. And now to see where they're winding up, we did see the trailer for it. And if you know the video game, you're going to be very well versed.
Oh boy.
A couple of characters that we've seen now enter the game.
A couple have been announced for casting. Oh boy.
So Pat,
one's been warned of the online fervor her character is going to cause. If you know, you know.
Yeah, so we don't want to spoil that for you, but we will be breaking down those episodes here on the show, as we did first season.
Yeah,
because there's a lot to digest with this, and especially how they follow the video game, because this is not a happy ending video game.
No.
Which I think you can definitely tell. There's a very somber feel, no matter what, which I love about this, because for this reminds me a lot of The Walking Dead.
Yes.
In the sense of it doesn't feel like a TV show. Like, it doesn't feel like there's going to be a happy ending. Yeah, no, you're right. And I love stuff like this. Yeah. So this show has been nothing but on point. Yeah, I can't wait for it to come back. I've been excited for this, since they first showed the trailer, the first teaser trailer for season 2 came out, and I cannot wait. Even more exciting is it was announced today. It got renewed for season 3, and season 2 ain't even out yet. Yeah. Well, I think this had to happen. Yeah. To think about it. So to see how this all plays, to get that go ahead, I think that makes sense. Yeah. Obviously, this is not going to be a long running series. No, I imagine it might go 3, maybe 4. It's not going to go Walking Dead and outstay its welcome. No, it's definitely not. And I think that they're smart about that too. Oh yeah, like I say. And the thing that helps is it's Neil Druckmann, who was involved with the video game very heavily, is involved with this. So anytime you can get the creator of the product involved in its adaptation certainly helps. Well, it does, and especially to capture the vibe, to really make that translation, because the game has won over so many game players. To have it come over to pop culture, you need to keep that vibe, and especially when they go deep diving into episodes. And like I say, the one that always jumped out to me from season 1 was Long Time with Bill and Frank. Yeah. Like I said, that was one of the most powerful episodes of television of that year of 2023. Yeah. It's scary to think that we've almost been waiting 2 years now plus, because it came out in January of 2023. Oh, Lord. Can't believe that. It's insane to think about, but man, the show is going to be firing on all cylinders. Just to emphasize how massive this video game franchise is, I looked it up. According to the folks over at Naughty Dog, both games combined have sold 47 million copies. Jesus. Yeah. So it's not exactly, Call of Duty or GTA numbers. Still impressive though. Yeah. So I fully expect pop culture to shut down on Sunday night when this happens, 9:00 on HBO. So we will be recapping the episode like we alluded to. It's going to be a busy week with that. Oh Lord, yeah, it is. So be prepared for it. And if you're not caught up, you have enough time to binge watch and get caught up, because you're going to need to. I know Nikki over at Nerd Initiative did a hype video catching everybody back up. Yeah. I know there's more stuff coming out, especially too with our good buddy Tom breaking down Doctor Who, because there is, like I say, when these shows come out, there's a lot to deep dive into. And there's been so much coming out that, like I said, we gave you the quick spin version. Yeah. Because we will be breaking these down as we go along. But just to remind everybody, because I think it's getting so overwhelmed with the movie announcements we had. CinemaCon came out.
Yeah.
They had something going on there too. And I think one of the biggest things that we are going to finally deep dive into is the return of Clark Kent.
Yeah.
The big screen. The Man of Steel is coming back.
Yeah.
We got the official extended trailer.
I'm pretty sure this was the thing they showed at CinemaCon last week because the trailer is like almost 5 minutes.
It's 5 minutes, but it nails the key points it needs to, because when Superman debuts in theaters this summer,
July 11th.
this is going to be one that I think is going to be the make or break for DC films.
Lord, yeah. This is your poster boy. This is your flagship.
Mm-hmm.
As much as fans of other DC properties might want to argue, no. It's Superman.
Superman is the end all be all for DC Comics. Mm-hmm. No question about it. Batman is there. He's right there. Same with Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
That's why we call him the Trinity of Heroes.
Yeah.
But to see what James Gunn is banking everything on, and I don't think anybody really understands all this pressure. If this film does not do well, there is going to be a lot of doubt for the future.
DC will never recover. Well, at least for the films.
It'll take. I mean, you have.
This
to think,
will have been the third time they've done Superman in like 15 years, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
This is the second time they've rebooted it. If they flunk, it's done. They can do all the animated films they want, and they can do all the standoff and one-offs and the Elseworlds if you want to stick with that. But in terms of a shared universe, it's done.
Well, that's the whole point. That is really trying to win the fans back, because we had the Snyderverse. We've had loosely connected films.
Yeah.
Prior to, I mean, very loose
and a very interconnected animated universe.
Animated, they've nailed.
They've done phenomenal. With
Animated, they've done no wrong with.
If you don't believe me, hit me up on social media. I will give you a list of animated films you should go watch, and I dare you to tell me one of them is bad.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing about it, that they've really nailed the key points.
And Mask of the Phantasm is not going to be one I recommend. I feel like that's cheating.
Well, I mean, it is. No offense.
No, it is.
But it is cheating with that. Like, we need to remember with this project, though, that this is going to be the pace setter. I mean, sure, we had Creature Commandos, and that
it was a good start.
It was a good start. It did what it needed to do.
Yeah.
But this is the one everybody's waiting on. And we finally got that extended trailer.
Yeah.
And this is the one that, like I say, to break it down, they had a lot of cameos.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know.
Well, it was the extended clip from the trailer we saw where Superman gets his you-know-what kicked.
Yeah.
Ends up in the Arctic, and he whistles for Krypto to help him. Obviously, something's kicked his butt, and he can't move and needs to get taken back to the Fortress of Solitude, and Krypto takes him back, where he's met by his robot helpers.
Yeah, so, I mean, we finally see David Cornsweet as Superman and recovering, and then we get the shot of Krypto, which, like I say, the internet was having a lot of mixed feelings about.
Sure.
Which, listen, I don't mind it.
Yeah, it's Krypto. It's a dog.
I'm not mad about it. It is what it is, because Gunn wants to do something different, and we have to give him that time and respect to do it. Albeit, though, like, I thought they spent a lot of time on the trailer for it.
Right.
That I thought they really stretched out.
Well, I think it was just like a first look for fans because we've seen the same scenes in however many trailers they put out.
Yeah, too.
They haven't really shown a whole lot of this, so it's just kind of giving us a feel for the movie.
Yeah, which, I mean, off the set, we know that Superman got taken out by something.
Yep.
We don't know who, we don't know what.
Yeah, he ain't exactly training if he got kicked that bad.
Yeah, so this has to be, I don't want to say, this is not year one.
Right.
But this is definitely something in that variation that we can tell from this trailer. So we don't know, like, it could have been like earlier in time and they jump back. We don't know.
Yeah.
But it is a fun thing that they do, because eventually it all leads to the Fortress of Solitude, where we see him get injected with a good, healthy dose of
a lot of sun.
Yep, sunlight. So obviously, getting some yellow sun is healing everything.
Yep.
We get a lot of cameos throughout this trailer.
Oh, yeah.
We see Rachel Brosnan.
Hawk Girl.
Yep. We get Hawk Girl, who's played by Isabella Merced. Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner. Like I said, Rachel is playing Lois Lane. Nicholas Hoult is Lex Luthor.
Yep. We finally hear Lex's voice.
Yeah, which was great.
Yep.
Definitely excited about that. And like I say, to see Brosnan and Coruscant on screen together, like I say,
Yeah.
you're seeing that classic.
A lot of chemistry.
Yeah, you're seeing that classic Christopher Reeve vibe, which, like I say, that's my favorite Superman era.
Sure.
That's the one that really hits. I mean, they did take some deep dives with some characters. I mean,
Yeah,
Anthony
he's pulling from Gunn's pulling from a lot of runs with this.
yeah, he's definitely swinging for the fences. I mean, to see Rex Mason on screen,
Right.
Metamorpho, played by Anthony Carrigan, that was wild.
Right.
I'm still like
Yeah.
still trying to piece that together.
And I'm not saying like they're pulling from all these famous stories for the purpose of the story. He's just borrowing inspiration for what this universe is going to be.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. But I love that they're doing like the shared version of it, because I think that to do that, it's really something to broaden the horizons for the pop culture audience.
Right.
So, like I say, we have Edie Gathegi, who's playing Mr. Terrific in there.
Yeah.
Like, that's a deep dive, I think, but that's one that works, even though we've seen him on the Arrowverse and that. But in this,
It's not going to be the same portrayal.
definitely not. But like I say, for where they're stretching from, they really hit the marks and did not give away what Luthor is really doing if he's really the head person behind it.
Right.
I just hope they don't overload the villain. So that's my only fear right now. But after seeing that trailer, yeah, Martha solves everything.
Martha.
You know, even whatever the new version is on AEW right now. I know. That's it. I know. But overall thoughts on this, Pat?
Love the trailer. This cannot come soon enough. I'm eagerly anticipating July 11th. Superman is my all-time favorite superhero, bar none, despite every other superhero. Anytime I can see the big guy on the big screen, I am super excited and amped up.
Yeah, this looks great. I mean, it captures that Christopher Reeves vibe.
Yeah.
Even modernizes it, though, which I loved. I think that's a smart play to do. So we'll have to wait and see, and I'm fully trusting Gunn with this.
I am too.
He understands working in these kind of universes, so I think we have a lot to be excited about.
Absolutely.
I know there's one more film on your docket.
Yes, it is a documentary that's actually already out, debuted on April 7th. But if it came out just in time for the film's 30th anniversary, that would be the 30th anniversary of a Goofy movie, which came out. God, I can't believe it came out 30 years ago. God, I'm getting old. Love the movie. It was a real swing and a home run for Disney at the time, because you got to remember those late 80s, early 90s, and some of the runs they were doing. Lion King was coming out, Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast. Disney was heavily in their Renaissance era. So when they turned around and wanted to do a movie based off of one of their iconic characters in Goofy, not certainly on the Mickey level, but hey, when a kid goes to Disney, odds are they're going to know who Goofy is and they're going to recognize him. Certainly a risk, certainly a tall order to live up to the standards Disney was producing at the time. Mm-hmm. But I would say, considering the place it has in people's hearts and in the minds of pop culture, especially if you grew up on the movie or if you saw it, later, or, when it came out on VHS, whenever, I certainly love the movie. I certainly love its sequel, an extremely goofy movie. Mm-hmm. Two of the better movies from my childhood of the 90s. I was super excited when they announced not just a goof. It's a documentary looking into the untold story of how it was made. It's got a whole bunch of interviews with some of the cast and crew that worked on the film. Like I said, currently out on Disney Plus, about an hour and a half long. But if you are a fan of this movie, fan of Goofy, or just Disney movies in general, or the filmmaking process, definitely one I think you should check out, because it's a different story from what Disney was doing at the time. A little family friendly. And personally, I'm still looking for a slice of cheese pizza like in that movie, because that cheese pizza is legendary.
Yes, it's true. It's very, very true.
Then I just got one more bit of news, and it's unfortunate news as of recording, because, well, this could change given the way the news cycle works these days. And that is Nintendo has delayed the Switch 2 pre-order date for the U.S., also for Canada, because of the ongoing tariff situation. This is according to the folks over at IGN, where the article does say, Nintendo, quote, Nintendo has taken the unprecedented decision to delay the Switch 2 pre-orders in the U.S., blaming it on the impact of the tariffs and evolving market conditions. Pre-orders were set to go live in the U.S. on April 9th. That would be today as we record. Nintendo did not share an updated kickoff date, but did promise that the June 5th, 2025 release date of the Switch 2 itself remains intact. Nintendo issued IGN the following statement, quote, Pre-orders for Nintendo Switch 2 in the U.S. will not start April 9th, 2025 in order to assess the potential impact of tariffs and evolving market conditions. Nintendo will update timing at a later date. The launch date of June 5th, 2025 is unchanged, close quote. Nintendo has confirmed the pre-order delay is specific to the U.S. In the UK, for example, Nintendo's pre-order delay remains unchanged, close quote. So some definite unfortunate news, I know, for Nintendo fans, but rest assured, I'm sure it'll come out eventually.
Yeah, just be patient.
Yeah.
I think that's all we can really do. Yeah. Stay tuned, ...
Mm-hmm.
Now, before we get into the comic picks of the week,
mm-hmm.
I'm just giving everybody a heads up. The Ringo Awards are up and running right now.
Ringo Starr?
No, it's in honor of the late Mike Wingergo.
Oh, right.
So this is a very cool awards ceremony that they're doing. I mean, they will be announced on October 18th of 2025, but the ballots are up and running right now at theringooawards.com. Definitely a lot of it's a cool thing in much in like the same vein as the Cheersies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get to vote. It's like you write in your stuff, so it's not like everybody's got nominees.
Sure.
So this is a great showcase. Excuse me, for like indie books like The Pedestrian.
Sure.
You know, shout out to Joey and Sean and the whole team there. Or like for Space Ghost with David Pepos. I know they've been very campaigning very hard. Alan Scott, the Green Lantern, Tim Sheridan, and Cian Tormey, and like the whole team there.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a book that this is an award show that you can really spotlight some really cool stuff.
Right.
That I think is awesome that they're doing. I mean, they've done this for many, many years now.
Mm-hmm.
So the ballots are up right now at ringooawards.com. The instructions and everything is there that you need to know about. So go check it out. And definitely, a worst case scenario, go campaign for your favorite comics.
Mm-hmm.
The creators definitely deserve all the love they can get. The stories that you've fallen in love with over the past year, they can definitely get some attention as well.
Yeah.
So definitely hype it up on your way to the comic shops because there's a lot to pick up this week. So Pad, what are you picking up?
Picking up 2 issues, both of which I reviewed for the folks over at Nerd Initiative this week. Both of them are Marvel. First of which is Ultimates issue number 11 from Dennis Camp. This one reads, The War for Asgard. A new hero approaches. Time to topple another of the Maker's dominoes, removing Loki from his seat of power in Asgard. Thor, Sif, and She-Hulk journey into mystery for blood, for glory, and for rebellion, and discover a surprising new ally. It's an interesting issue. It certainly sheds a little bit of light on Loki. If you thought you knew Loki from the comics and you haven't read this run, boy, you don't know nothing about Loki.
Yeah.
Also, a little bit of an interesting reveal about what's going on in Asgard. That certainly turns some heads when you get to that battle. And the ending alone. Oh, boy. Especially given what's going on with the whole Ultimates universe. And we do know the Maker is coming at some point. The end of every Ultimates issue does count down the months remaining. So the Maker is coming back. All hell's going to break loose because, hey, it's Dennis Camp and the powers that be are really swinging for the fences with this whole run with Ultimates and the Ultimate Universe. It's going to be nuts, and especially if that panel at the end comes to pass.
Yeah.
Yikes. If you know, you know. You'll see. If you don't, you'll see.
Exactly.
Then from the folks over at Marvel and Mark Guggenheim, yes, that Mark Guggenheim, Star Wars Jedi Knights issue number 2. This one reads, Yoda and Vecna Mooncrest face the tyranny of Atha Prime. The Jedi face a new threat on a strange, fantastic, and mysterious world. But the planet's surface ruler has a dark secret he wants hidden from the Republic. The first story featuring a never-released counter-action figure, Atha Prime. So this one, I'll just say this because I don't want to tease it too much because, you should really read this and get the excitement for it. This is an awesome issue. It's a lot of fun to read. It's Yoda. You can't go wrong with Yoda. If you're a fan of a certain Ridley Scott movie, you'll love this. You'll love this issue. It evokes a feeling and a genre in Star Wars that I can't remember getting since the novel came out in 2009 of the Star Wars zombie novel. Yes, there was a Star Wars zombie novel, came out in 2009.
I remember that.
Yeah, had a bit of a cult following. Never really did much, I think, sales-wise, but, had a cult following. But to my knowledge, that was the only kind of horror-esque, Star Wars story that was done. Hashtag ODPH pod if I'm wrong. I could be wrong. But this certainly goes to places, and there's a little bit of horror to this story. But if, like I said, if you're a fan of a certain Ridley Scott movie, you'll enjoy this issue. But no, definitely one you should pick up at the comic shops this week.
Yeah, this one's making a lot of noise, so you definitely want to keep an eye on that. All right, for me, it's always a laundry list. But you know what? That's why I love doing this, because I love comics. And I love talking about him, especially Absolute Batman number 7. So this is Scott Snyder. Now, Nick Dracata is not on the art for this book. It's Marcos Martin. So there's that switch up happening here, and this is a little break because, well, after the events of what happened with the Black Mask in the first arc, it's a new direction, and this is bringing back a classic villain, Mr. Freeze.
Hey.
But this is not like a Mr. Freeze you know. This is the Absolute Universe, and this is absolutely impressive.
True.
So Snyder's going some places. I really enjoy this issue. I mean, even with the art switch up, which I like Martin's art, it's very, when you see it and compare it to Dracata's, it's a night and day difference. But it still hits the points it needs to, and especially with doing this with Mr. Freeze and what they're doing with that character. Oh boy. This is one definitely has been hitting the mark, so you definitely want to keep an eye on that. I think I've said it here publicly. I know I've said it behind the scenes, but listen, Aquaman by Jeremy Adams and John Timms is making a run for being the best superhero comic on the shelves. No doubt. 4 issues in, they are going some places.
Okay.
And this is nothing short of just big action, excitement, because where the story is, Aquaman's trying to track down Atlantis. It's missing. There was a portal that was an Omega symbol. We know who that is in the DCU.
Okay.
Aquaman goes looking for his king or his people in there, and he is in a whole different place. It is wild, it is untamed, it is a complete upside down, which you know. And the way that they're utilizing Aquaman in this book is just absolutely incredible. Every issue, this is just like an action movie. And I love this. I absolutely adore this take that they're doing. And I don't want to see it going away anytime soon. So you can see how amped I am because I'm trying to keep my words in check. This is how good this book is. And I think more people need to be talking about it. I think more people need to be supporting it. So if you really love a great superhero book, this is one you definitely want to keep an eye out for. Speaking of superheroes, one of the ones that I think a lot of fans have their eyes on this week is Amazing Spider-Man number 1.
Uh-huh.
So this is Joe Kelly, Pepe Larraz, John Romita Jr. are on the creative, leading the creative team on this.
You already have me sold on Joe Kelly alone.
Yeah. So Joe Kelly is coming in. This is forget everything of the Zeb Wells run.
Thank God.
This is a brand new day, pun intended.
Thank God.
Because we are getting back to basics. It's a solid opening issue. I will say this. Larraz and JR switch art duties.
Okay.
But they're telling technically 3 different stories.
Right.
And this is getting Peter back to basics. I love the first story. I thought they really got everything started on the right footing. Where they're going, I don't know, but that's great.
That's the beauty of Joe Kelly's writing.
Yeah, I don't need yeah, exactly.
You can have an idea. Odds are it's going to take a left turn at Albuquerque.
And I'm excited for it. And I can't wait to get into this. Even the side story they had with Norman Osborn and the new villain they're introducing.
Yeah, and they've been doing some interesting things with Norman.
Yeah. Listen, I think this is great. Like, they're building some stuff up. So
Yeah.
I like what they're doing. And this is something, if you haven't picked up Spider-Man in a while, this is a great time to jump back in. Not because it's number 1, because this really is getting back to basics.
If you had a bad taste left in your mouth from the Zeb Wells run, which I think was about everybody at this point.
Well, it's a very polarizing run. I mean,
Yeah.
I know some people that really loved it. And
Sure.
Listen, more power to you.
Sure.
But I know for me, it just didn't connect.
No, it was hit and miss for me, and by the end it was mostly miss. Just from the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man run, that Joe Kelly had his hand in. I know they traded off writing duties with Justina Ireland and whatnot, but from the stuff he wrote for 8 Deaths of Spider-Man, if you had any sort of bad feelings or were kind of let down a little bit by the story that was done during the last tenure of the previous comic writing team, you'll love this one.
Yeah, this one's definitely back to basics. I really dug this. I'm excited to go. I mean, Spider-Man is arguably my favorite superhero.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I don't cover him as much.
Right.
But for me, like, that's where I got into comics.
Right.
But now it's just like I read so much, and that's the beauty of comics.
Right.
There's a lot to cover, and I don't get to cover everything. But don't think I don't read on this. Speaking of books, I think more people need to be talking about and getting back to basics and all that good stuff. There's a book out by DC Comics called Batman Dark Patterns.
Right.
And this is a very cool concept. It's a maxi series, so 12 issues they're going. And they're telling early Batman detective stories.
Right.
So The first 3 issues was one case. 4, 5, 6 is another case. This is Dan Waters, Hayden Sherman, and what they're doing here. Listen, I put it out publicly. I think this is arguably the best Batman book on the shelves.
Oh, all right.
This captures a lot of the detective skills of that early Batman era. So you don't have prep time, you don't have gadgets a lot. This is just like raw detective skills. And the presentation they do here, like Waters is setting up so many things and this one is called The Voice of the Tower.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil anything because I really want people to pick this book up. But how they present it, it's very interesting. I'm showing you the cover by Sherman.
Oh, interesting. Reminds me of the one episode of the animated series.
Yeah.
Where, what was it? Batman and Robin get put into the Labyrinth computer game that Riddler puts together.
Right. This is kind of...
Great episode, by the way.
Like I say, there's maybe some overtones, so to speak.
Sure.
But this is not I'll spoil this. It's not a Riddler story.
Right.
But there is a classic Batman villain involved.
Hey.
And how they're presenting him is wild. And it's crazy. It teeters on mature reader stuff at points. But this is, like I say, it's not for the squeamish because some of the art. But I will say this. How Sherman sets up pages on this with Tyrona Farrell is the colorist. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Like I'm sitting there going like, holy, like this is some really dope stuff. And like I say, we're at the midway point of the story. One more issue left, and then they go to another case. Which, listen, I'm just gonna tell everybody right now, we need to get them on a book going monthly. Like nothing against the creative teams right now on Batman, but if we have to get them on a book, like let's give them a run, or just keep Dark Patterns going. Like this is just freaking awesome stuff. So you definitely need to go check it out at the comic shops. Also, DC Comics, Green Lantern Corps #3. So this is it's taking up the story of John Stewart and Hawkwoman dealing with the fallout of what's going on with the Fractured Spectrum storyline, and they're dealing with Atrocitus. Never good. And this is just continuous spiraling out of there. A lot of bobbing and weaving with everything going on. But if you're a John Stewart fan, you're going to absolutely love this. Jeremy Adams, Morgan Hampton, and Fernando Pasarin is the team behind this. Very cool story. Like I say, I like what they're doing. I think next arc, because they just wound up the story, they're going to be featuring another member of the Green Lantern Corps. So, like, listen, Green Lantern is a very cool superhero, and the Corps back in full force. You can't go wrong with that. Arguably, the most popular book at the comic shops, Transformers #19.
Wow.
Well, Daniel Warren Johnson is now on that home stretch. He did announce that he was only writing for 2 years, and then he was done. So we're now on that back end going home. A little switch at art for this issue. Ludo Lullaby is on this for the one shot. We know him from Battle Chasers.
Yeah.
I was all in about this. And this answers a key point. Where has Megatron been?
It's a very important question.
Because Megatron has only just appeared in the Energon universe in the current timeline.
Right.
He's been in a couple other flashback stories, so we definitely want to go check. But this is the first time he's back, and now we get a little update about where he's been and what's been going on.
Right.
Very dope issue. It's Daniel Warren Johnson writing, and the art's crazy. Like I said, this is a great insight of Megatron, so can't go wrong with that. Last on my list is a very cool concept going on with Skybound Entertainment and Image Comics. I mean, Skybound we know from Transformers Energon Universe, but this is going into the G.I. Joe Real American Hero that we know from Larry Hama's time period.
Right.
And I mentioned last week that they were paying an homage to G.I. Joe 21 from 1983, the silent interlude. That was the Snake Eyes episode. This they're now doing these solo missions involving the G.I. Joes. Last week was Beachhead. This one is Jinx.
Oh, boy.
Different art team taking over. Dan Waters, who I was singing the praises of on Dark Patterns. Danny and Brad Simpson are the team behind this. There is no words. This is just straight pictures and silence. But they tell a hell of a story because it's a race against the clock, and they do a very cool concept. It's 20 pages, and each page is a second of a countdown to an explosion.
Oh, boy.
And how everything plays out. It's freaking awesome.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like I say, I love the creativity here. Like anytime the comics can really push the medium like this, I'm all in about it. So, and if you even want more recommendations, nobody does it like Nerd Initiative. I think we wound up with 30 reviews on the site this week.
Nice.
I mean, which is I say that like it's kind of a letdown, but it's really not because we've been averaging like 50 something.
Yeah, there's been a lot.
But I mean, some of the team is on vacation. Shout out to Matt. I know from Hopsgeeks News he's out and about somewhere, but he got a couple in. But like, let's just say this: it doesn't matter if we do one review or 100 reviews. If we're giving you the recommendations, we're giving you books that we definitely think that you want to go check out, and you should be adding to your collection. So,
speaking of things you want to add to your collection, I almost forgot to mention this. I think I'm announced by the folks over at Marvel today for the comics.
oh, okay.
It's not out yet. It's coming out in July. It's a one-shot. You're going to want to pick it up because in the article from Marvel.com reads, quote, announced earlier today at Entertainment Weekly, Michael Giacchino, the composer.
Werewolf by Night.
Will write Werewolf by Night, Blood Moon Rise.
Ooh.
A new Marvel comic book hitting stands in July. The Academy Award-winning composer made his directorial debut in the acclaimed Marvel Cinematic Universe special. Now he teams up with artist David Messina from Ultimate Spider-Man to deliver another tale of horrors starring Jack Russell, this time set in the Marvel Comics universe. Werewolf by Night, Blood Moon Rise spotlights what makes Werewolf by Night such a captivating Marvel icon with over 50 years of comics history and 100 times as many bodies in his wake. In addition to Giacchino's story that pits the tortured hero against Dracula, the one-shot will also have a backup story by Jason Lowe, writer of the current Werewolf by Night Red Band comic series, celebrating the character's history and future along with various bonus material. I am showing Ken the cover right now.
Yo. Who's on the cover?
That would be Tyler Kirkham.
Okay.
The article goes, Giacchino did tell Entertainment Weekly, quote, it could be a lost story from the original run in a way. There's a fun twist to it that I think is going to be really interesting for people who are into Jack Russell and that lore, close quote. If you're curious when he wrote this, he wrote it while composing the Fantastic Four film score. So apparently the dude finds time to write a comic when he's composing an entire film score. It's kind of crazy, but hey, be on the lookout for that in July.
That's wild, man. I'm just reading now, too. We got the press release sent to us.
Yeah.
That's, like, listen.
Giacchino's an amazing composer. If you don't know the name, look him up on IMDb.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to.
You'll find something you know.
We'll definitely have to keep an eye out for that when it comes out in July. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Jason Lowe's run, I think, was very underrated. And
right.
I know they're doing something with that series, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to keep an eye out for it, because I thought they said it was going to be a final issue coming up, and something was coming out of this. So maybe this is it. I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah, I'll have to go see about that. Anyway, that's all we got for entertainment this week. So for anything and everything, this is the ODPH. You can find it at odphpodcast.com. For the one and only Padawan J.
Thank you.
I'm your host, Ken. Thank you as always for listening to the ODPH podcast. We'll see you next time.